Hello and welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. This is the podcast for individuals, accounting professionals who are interested in wanting to have the premier accounting firm business in their area. This is dedicated to individuals that are offering accounting, bookkeeping, and tax services with an emphasis on things that we can do to actually look at marketing, effectively selling, pricing our services, onboarding our clients, offering quality accounting services, and improving our client relations. All the things that may come across your mind as to what it is you need to be focusing on as you run and operate your successful accounting business. In this process, topics may include various things such as pricing strategies, value-added services, workflow, practice management, staff training, client onboarding, as well as client retention and relationships. This podcast will actually help you become what we refer to as an accountrepreneur, allowing you to work on your business with the advice from the experts. We have an excellent guest today. I'm your host, Roger Connect, president of Universal Accounting Center. And for more than 20 years, I've been working with accounting professionals to help them start and build their successful accounting businesses, offering quality accounting services and getting paid what they're worth. Our guest today happens to be Fred Hunzeker. Fred is an individual that I'm sure you're going to appreciate knowing. He is a CPA. He received his BS in accounting and his MBA, both from the University of Utah. He passed his CPA exam in 2013 and has more than 23 years of accounting experience with 16 years in industry. So he's been doing this in accounting for basically 16 years specifically and 4 years in public accounting. Now, for the past 3 years, he has been growing his private accounting business, and he has the experience of being both a controller and CFO, as well as a consultant. He lives in Grantsville, Utah, with his wife and 6 children, and his company has been doing everything as you would expect, from doing taxes for over 12 years, as well as providing accounting and bookkeeping services such as consulting, cash flow management, budgeting, profitability services. He also educates his clients on how to obtain the right kind of financing to meet their growth needs. His goal is to make a difference for each of his clients by helping them to understand their tax situation or by helping them to understand their numbers while growing their business. So, Fred, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
This is going to be fun. So why don't you just give us a short synopsis of what drew you to the accounting professional? Why become a CPA?
Well, I always loved accounting. I loved business. I think my parents always thought I would become a banker. But I loved understanding the activities that happened within a business. I was once told, like a doctor would say, the bloodline of a business is the accounting, is the numbers. They're the ones, just like testing the blood, you can tell how healthy or strong someone is.
Good analogy. I like that. So obviously you're drawn to the profession. You go through your schooling, become a CPA. How did your career start? What did you actually experience in the beginning?
Well, in the beginning, I was looking to go into finance and other things. And as I started looking for jobs, there were more jobs available in accounting, which was also a natural fit that I liked as well. And then realized more of where I was thinking I was wanting to go, which is like a CFO or controller role, is through accounting. And then later got more passionate about just helping all businesses understand their finances and accounting.
Now, accounting isn't being an entrepreneur. So what actually got you to the point where you wanted to start your own business?
Yeah, that's interesting because I've ran into a lot of controllers who are like, yeah, I want to start my own business. I want to do this. I want to run my own accounting practice. And I'm like, oh, you got great ideas. Why don't you go do it? And then they're like, no, accountants aren't that type of people. They don't just jump off the edge. It's like I share a story that if you have an accountant and an entrepreneur walking through the jungle, if they come to a cliff where there's water below, your entrepreneur is looking about the best way to jump in, and your accountant says there's got to be a safer way down to the water.
And there's alligators down there.
Yeah. You don't know what's down there. And so what got me started, though, is I've worked with a lot of different companies, and I was helping them be successful, helping them grow. But I sometimes got heard and sometimes I didn't get heard. And so sometimes I wasn't being able to make the influence or the difference that I was hoping to make within these businesses. And I started losing the interest or drive for that, and then realized that if I broke off and ran my own business, I could make more of an impact on these small businesses with my skill set, and in the long run, maybe be more beneficial, even more profitable for myself.
I like that. So, when you chose to go out on your own, was it something that you just dabbled in and did a few clients on the side, or did you go basically all in and start your business starting with zero clients and building it from there?
Well, so I'd started doing tax practice on the side, and so I was working in the industry, working in management, and then come tax season, I would just do a few clients. Started out with family and friends, and then eventually it started to grow and grow. But then I picked up some other clients, but not too much because I didn't have the time. And then I just reached a level where it was I can't grow my side business any longer if I'm still, working 40 hours, 40 to 60 hours a week. And then that's when I had to make the choice to just make the jump and then start to grow my business from there up.
I think that story is so important because so many of our listeners have experienced exactly the same thing. There are those that do start their business out of necessity where some employment change or something occurs that causes them to have to just start from scratch and start their business. Sometimes it's intentional and deliberate. Other times it's just what life kind of doles them. But what you described is very common. It's where, as an accounting professional, people know what we do for a living, and that's no different than a car mechanic. Hey, I've got a car problem. Can you help me? And after the mechanics worked all day at the shop, they come home and get some side big gigs on the weekends and evenings that they finally experience the opportunity to go out and start their own shop. Well, likewise, you did the taxes on the tax side, did that during tax season, got the business side, and there just comes that pivotal moment. Do I dare do this full time, go out on my own, break away? And by darn, you did it. And that's wonderful. So, one of the things that I want to understand about your business is you chose to go out there, get busy. What were some of the surprises you experienced as you started your business that you didn't realize, but now looking back, realize, my heavens, those were some challenges that I overcame and I'm glad I did?
Yeah. Being an accountant, of course, I want to have everything figured out before we get started, and I want to have it from the start to the end. And the reality I ran into as I got going is there's no way to know everything. Um, and this is where true entrepreneurs, they just push forward and uh, and can deal with those challenges and changes. And being an accountant, it's a little bit more of a struggle where you're like, I didn't want or expect these types of changes. But no, I ran into where one, it seems like you can't please everybody with your work or your jobs. Even if you do a good job, I had a client where this last year I saved them several $1,000s. We had to do their taxes a little different. They had some businesses we had to recognize, and it cost them a little bit more money and took a little bit more time, and they weren't necessarily thrilled with the time and the extra money, even though what we saved them was significantly greater than the cost. And so that was a challenge where you're just not going to have everyone, always excited that that they're pleased at everything you do, even when you do your best. And that can be a hard thing for anyone to deal with when you're running your own business.
That's true. No, that is something that can be a challenge. So, this advice that you would give to yourself, I mean, if you could speak to your younger self as you were starting the business, what would you say to yourself? What would you actually want to advise your younger self to know?
I would probably say that you need to get started, get busy, keep working, keep learning. You're going to run into challenges. You're going to learn them as you go. You're going to progress as you go. I even get this with non-accounting businesses that I help. Their projections for the first year seem to be really big. and
Very optimistic.
yeah, very optimistic. And they don't reach that goal, and it scares them, it bothers them. But the reality is as long as you can get good networks, get connected into the community like you need to, you're going to grow and you're going to progress. And the main key is providing that high quality of service. What does your client need? And as you learn that and then provide that for them, you're going to grow your business, because then word of mouth, things get shared, and like I believe there is no shortage of accounting work needed, especially for small businesses out there. Some people think it's competitive, but I don't think I think it's opposite. I think there's more work than there are people available.
Amen to that. I do. It's having an attitude or a belief in abundance and realizing that there's just so much out there. So
Yeah.
the scarcity mindset doesn't apply here, I don't feel. So that's great advice. So obviously, as you're working with your business clients and you're helping them, there's got to be a drive that you tap into. So what is it that you're passionate about as you do the work you do with your clients?
So, I obviously I want to do a good job, and I want to see my clients succeed. I mean, on the one side, it's just good business. If my clients are succeeding, they're not going to have any trouble paying me for my services, and they're not going to have any trouble wanting to pay me for my services. And so my goal is to help find what they need so that they can progress and so that they can grow and so that they're profitable. I really like helping my clients work on their cash flows and work on budgeting and profitability. So, I get all kinds of small business people that are like, I could be 5 times my size tomorrow. I've got all these clients that want to come in, and I have to explain to them, but you don't have the manpower and you don't have the cash flow to handle that. You need to take it at a reasonable pace.
That's very true. So here's the thing that I think you're tapping into here, and it's because of the nature of our business, especially from an accounting point of view, not tax, but accounting, is there's a lot of client relations that are more than just a annual type discussion. It's more of a monthly, quarterly interaction that we have with our clients. So when you look at client relations, what is it that you feel you want to offer or do with your clients for them to appreciate the services you're providing?
Yeah, so with my clients, I want them to know that, one, I care about them and I care about their business. And I try to ask the detailed questions to find out how healthy the business is, where it's going, what it needs help with. And then I try to not only help them progress in the right manner, I also like to educate. I found lots of my clients have been very pleased and have shared with other people that have referred to me, is that Fred, he teaches me what I know and what I don't know. And not necessarily to teach them to be accountants, but to teach them what they need to know about the accounting numbers that will help them be a better businessman.
So this is kind of interesting to me because it's obviously client relations that we're talking about here. And the client doesn't want to be perceived as just a number, like it's a dollar amount that they're to you, just money. They need to know that there's something more going on there. So I feel that there's this idea of they need to know we're genuinely interested and curious about what they do for a living, what their business is, how it makes money, and how it's doing. How do you find a good way to communicate that to them that as an accountant they can appreciate?
Well, at first, the biggest thing I like to do is ask a lot of questions. I need to know their business. Sometimes I get a new business and I don't even know that industry. I need to know their business. I need to know what the norms are, the normal profitability, the normal cost of goods, what is it about their business. And even I'm someone who's super personable. Sometimes I almost wonder if I'm supposed to be an accountant. But I ask personal questions just about them to understand who they are. Sometimes even to understand some of their how they manage their own personal finances. I've found that people run their business the same way they run their personal stuff. And so sometimes understanding more about the individual and their business helps me help them, but it also shows that I care. It shows that my goal is for their success.
Well, I think you said it right. You've got to ask a lot of questions, and it's that curiosity that not only helps you, but allows them to feel as if you care and are interested. So I agree with that. That's actually, I think, a simple but yet very effective thing to remember from all this. Now, when it comes to the client relations, one of the things that I also think is very important is the business owner wants to know the work is being done and being done timely and so forth. How do you deal with the timeliness of the business owner where they want the information here and now?
So with being timely, what helps me out is I have spreadsheets that let me know for each of my different clients. Do they have quarterly deadlines? Do they have weekly deadlines? Do they need to see a set of financials monthly? I have it recorded where I can reference, okay, which clients do I need to be helping so that I can organize my work and my priorities so that I'm doing the most important things. And so I'm not just dealing with putting out fires or other situations. And so I've got to know my clients and which ones have deadlines and things due so that I can meet those deadlines for them. Because that's the real peace of mind most of them have is when they can forget about their finances. And I don't mean understanding them, but the worries of them and leave
Yeah.
them to the accountant.
So here's a question. Have you ever had a client ask very simply, "How am I doing?"
Yeah. I've had clients say, what do you think? And, they'll tell me how they feel that they're doing. And then they'll ask me, what are you seeing? Can you tell that there's some issues or problems? And I'm working with some now where there's some big issues and we're drilling into, okay, here's what I see that's going wrong. And now I need to ask you some additional questions that only you know because you're there on the floor running the
Mm-hmm.
business.
Yeah.
Here are the questions. Let's solve the problems. Overstaffing or their employees being efficient. You're billing out this much for employee time, but here's what your payroll expenses are. This doesn't look like it's working. And let's talk about efficiency and things we can do to be more efficient.
So I recently had a client, and this has happened a number of times, so this isn't just a singular experience, but I've recently had a client that was embarrassed by the numbers. They disliked discussing them because they were embarrassed. Honestly, it wasn't because the numbers were wrong. It was more of an embarrassment because they didn't understand the numbers. They didn't know what to ask. They didn't know what to be looking at. Have you ever had an experience like that where the client has you doing the books, but honestly just doesn't know what to ask and what to pay attention to?
Yeah, I've ran into that several times as well. I was even in a meeting where they're talking about how to start up and run good businesses, and in the meeting they said, "Well, you don't just look at your bank statement or call the bank to know how much cash you have. You got to look at your financials." And I saw this person's head go down because he that's all he was doing, right? So the first
Uh-huh.
thing I like to explain to them is one, the process that they're following is not uncommon for small businesses, good entrepreneurs to not know all the numbers and to not know what they mean and whether they're succeeding or not. To them, okay, how much money did I bring in? Did I bring in more than last month? Then maybe I'm succeeding, but I don't seem to be keeping enough of the money. What's the problem? And so I like to explain to them that's normal. you're doing exactly what other people like you do who become successful. And then I proceed to teach them what they need to know about their numbers and how to look for those answers that they need to know.
It's interesting. I've worked with so many clients where there's so much emphasis put on top line revenue. They just grow the business. And yet again and again, they're so often frustrated and even caught off guard as to, well, why isn't this trickling down to the bottom line?
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing this growth on the top line. Why am I not seeing the same growth on the bottom line? And it's really getting into the details of the expenses and the correlation with, let's say, COGS and so forth. So yeah, there's so much to discuss with the client. I enjoy it, and I sense that you do as well. So what frustrates the client? What are some of the things that as accountants we can maybe say to a client that honestly could frustrate the relationship?
Well, just like the one you've mentioned, I worked for a company where I was the CFO and was trying to help the main one of the main owners and CEO of the company. Thought that main thing that we eventually will just make enough sales, we'll say, that will cover all our expenses. Like there's this magical number that we hit, and then everything becomes okay. And when I showed him the fact that as we're trying to project where our break even is and where we're going to just start making a bunch of profits, the two lines of projected revenue and projected expenses, they actually mirrored each other. They looked like they were following each other and were never about to cross. And he
Yeah.
was not happy with that. He wasn't happy to find out that it just doesn't solve itself, and that just growing solves all the problems. And no, he wasn't thrilled with that as an answer. And the hardest thing is to say, hey, I need you to understand what the real problem is, because you're the one who needs to help us fix it.
Yeah, I think a pro forma, like you were describing, is so illustrative of you can work harder and harder and harder, and these profit margins don't change. You've got so many fixed assets or fixed costs, and all of a sudden you're in a situation where you're selling a lot more. There's a lot more activity. People are busier. In fact, you probably have more people working. And the profits just don't sometimes seem to change. And that depends on the business model, obviously. It depends on the industry, and there's different facets. But I have had those conversations where the business model, the business owner wasn't fully aware of those different correlations and situations that were affecting their success. So I liked how you described that. That was well said. So when you're talking about running your business, what are some of the things that you've found over the years or recently to help you work more efficiently? Because you obviously, you get paid to do the accounting, but it's to your benefit to figure out how to do it more efficiently because that impacts your profitability. What are some of the things that you've figured out along that way?
Well, management, you have to put time into overseeing your own business as well as just helping do all the accounting work for other people in their businesses. Is you've got to schedule your own time so that you're working on top priority projects and that you're not just putting out fires and other situations. And there'll come a point where you eventually start getting so many phone calls for everyone wanting to solve these immediate little problems that you might have to say, okay, I need someone else to field these calls, and then I need to call at one specific time to resolve these in a planned, scheduled time, not having it break up my work schedule throughout the whole day.
Yeah, so I heard a few things in there. One, obviously, the importance of time management. You've got to be able to prioritize and dedicate time to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, you spoke of having a chart that helped you manage deadlines and workflow so that you can obviously have a process so that things are getting done in an organized manner. And that type of systemization allows you to just kind of follow a routine that is productive. So I like those things that you shared. Now, the next question is onboarding clients. What are some of the things that you've learned after onboarding a number of clients that is helpful for both the client, the new client that's going through this experience with you for the first time, And you, as you're onboarding your clients, what have you learned that's helpful to make sure that your onboarding is efficient?
Yeah. So when I'm onboarding a new client, the biggest thing is I need to understand their situation, whether it's from a simple return to a complex business that's going to have multiple returns and personal returns attached, or to a business that needs help long term understanding their finances and stuff. So for me, it's about being able to record and have it written down, all the nuances or issues that this client has, so that I truly understand their business. Because the more and the sooner I understand the details of what's working and not working with the business, the better I'm going to be able to serve them. And the more they're going to appreciate, because then they don't go, I'm not asking the same question every week, or I'm not bringing it up again, and then they're wondering whether I know what's going on with their business or not.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to be embarrassed that way. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, you've worked with a variety of clients. Where have you felt you've made the biggest difference as you've worked with your clients to help them be more successful, or better said, even more profitable? Where do you feel that your business is, beyond just doing the compliant work and the tax work and providing the reports? Where do you actually see that you've made a difference for your clients? And can you share that story?
Well, yeah. When I got started, the main goal is to help them be profitable, to help them manage their cash flows, to do all this. And I keep running into a lot of companies working on growth. They want to grow, but they don't know how to grow, and they don't know how to obtain the capital that they need to grow. And so, like, I had one client, he said he walked into the bank and he says, "Hey, I'm running $300,000 through this bank a year. I want a bank loan." And they said, "Well, we want to see some financials. We want to see that there's a real difference going on." And he didn't understand. He didn't understand that. So I didn't realize that, one, helping them get their books in order and helping them show that they're managing their money and running a profitable business will help them with banks and other institutions that are better to provide financing. Because eventually I get some of these clients that come to me and they're reaching out to these accounts receivable loan companies. I call them business payday loans. And yeah, those companies destroy businesses quickly. And so I have to quickly educate and train them that, no, that's not what we want to pursue. And yeah, I've just continually ran into people saying, "How do I get more money?" Well, one, I need to educate that more money doesn't solve the problem, but more money will help you with growth and profitability.
There's a few things in there. Obviously, you mentioned factoring. There's a time and a place for it, but yes, you're basically doing like these. I think your payday loan kind of thing was a good illustration of that. But the other area of cash flow management, more cash isn't necessarily always the solution. It might buy some time, but it's not the solution. But cash flow management, so often for our clients, is really a big part of what we do, just helping them understand how to manage the accounts payable versus the accounts receivable, how to actually not work as a bank, but literally have the cash flow to pay all the obligations and really be profitable in the end. But when it comes to having the financials in order to go out and get a line of credit or a business loan, or maybe it's getting some investors, all of these people are third parties wanting to look at the financial reports that tell the story of the business. And the more clear the story is, the more compelling it is to be able to say, I'm worthwhile in investing, that I should have your capital in this business. So I think what you're sharing there is a very real application of what we do as accounting professionals. So thank you. One of the things that I'd like to kind of talk about now is your opinion of the future. Where do you see our accounting profession going in the coming months or years. Is there anything that's a change or something that's exciting to you that you're looking at?
As a true accountant, I don't know if I'm ever excited for a lot of change, but I mean the technology. I mean, we went through COVID, and it became a big deal to be able to run your business all from home.
Yeah.
And so being able to have a way for your clients to send you safe information that you can then have on your computer or drop off stuff without meeting with you. I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, we like to believe the COVID situation is over, but I can't promise you that the other things won't pop up that could create more concerns. And so the one thing I would say that I am excited for the future, I think there's still a lot of growth potential for a lot of small businesses and for people who are willing to help them with their accounting and finances to get them profitable and help them grow these businesses.
That's great. Now, Fred, you've shared with me two jokes. I'm going to put you on the spot and see
Okay.
if you can remember the two jokes.
Yeah.
I think these are worth sharing. So why don't you tell your jokes for the audience?
Okay. So the first joke I like to share with accountants to help people understand accounting is I tell them that there's a company that was trying to hire a controller. They narrowed down the applicants to three individuals. How it originally went, the three were two guys and a girl. And the first guy walks in and they said, "We've reviewed all your stuff. We just have one question for you. What's 2 + 2?" He says 4. They say, "Thank you for coming." The next interviewer or candidate comes in. They said, "We just have the same question as we had for the last guy. What's 2 + 2?" He says 4. The third one, the young lady comes in and they said, "Well, what's 2 + 2?" She says, "What do you need it to be?" They said, "I think we have ourselves a controller." So, and the point, I know a lot of people would hear that joke and they're like, "Oh, that just means, accountants are unethical and they're playing with the numbers." But in reality, it accounting is not as simple as 2 + 2 is 4. Accounting has a lot of moving parts and a lot of things that are not so easy to explain. When I was going through my master's program, we had engineers that were in there, and when we took an accounting class with them, they said, "Can't we just make accountants just have the right answer so that when the year's done, they press a button and there's all the financials?" And it was interesting to see what they don't understand about accounting. Anyways, that's my first joke. And it's just to explain that accounting is not so simple and but important. So the second one is there's three type of accountants, ones that can count and ones that can't.
Yes, there are those. So your point with the first joke, I think there's actually a truth to it because in reality there is a difference between accrual accounting and cash accounting.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on were we profitable last month? Well, yeah, we got a huge deposit. There was a lot of money in the bank, but it came from a transaction 3 months ago, a job that we finished that finally got paid. Were we profitable last month? Actually, no, because we didn't sell anything last month. So yeah, there's a lot of money in the bank, but it came from efforts from months prior, and it's just perspective. How do you want to look at things? And then the other thing I'd also say is in accounting, you've got like prepaid expenses. There are things that we have on the books, but we really haven't booked yet.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, what we're doing is we're realizing as a business, there are a variety of ways we can tell the exact same story. And so perspective, perception, that all matters. There's a difference between the accounting you might be using for your tax return and the accounting you might be using for some other purpose, going to the shareholders or something. It's just what are you doing? And the right answer is what do you need the answer to be kind of things.
Yeah.
I think that's just fascinating. I think it's although a joke, I think it's a reality that's very much appropriate. Here's another question for you. What does the word freedom mean to you?
Freedom to me, especially when you talk running your own business. So freedom means I get to work at home or work at an office close by. I get to be here with my family when I want to be with my family. When it's time to go on a vacation, I don't have to worry about asking, which boss do I need to get approved? Do I get to have these hours or these days off? How many days off do I get? Running my own business has given me the freedom where as long as I'm bringing in the money I need to, I can go away for a little while and take a break and do what I need to. And being able to cover whatever finances and issues I have, that's the freedom. That to me is true freedom, is where I get to have more choices for myself and less being made by other people.
Gotcha. What are you thankful for?
I'm thankful for the Lord and his help in me starting and running this business. I'm thankful for others that are out there who have helped me, who are helping me, and who will help me. There are so many resources and people that are willing to help you figure out the pieces to make the business work. I like to say every business is like a formula, and it's all a matter of trying to find the right combination for that formula to make it work. And once you find that formula combination, then it's just about churning it over and over unless something major makes another change.
I like that. That's a good description. So I'm going to break away here real quickly and do a summary of our conversation. I think this has been a great discussion, and come back to Fred for just some final thoughts. But before that, I'd like to just share a few things regarding our sponsors. The first thing I'd like to mention is at the episode description on that page, you'll actually find information regarding some things that you should take advantage of. One of which is you can go there and in the podcast description find a free copy to the book Red to Black. Red to Black is a book written for accounting professionals. It's the how-to guide to help you actually do quick turnarounds. So find out more information about Red to Black. In addition to that, you'll also find out information about benchmarking. Benchmarking is something that Fred was mentioning a little earlier when he was talking about it's important to find out information about your clients and their business, learn about what it is that they do and how their numbers compare to their industry, for example, and that's accomplished through benchmarking. Benchmarking is a powerful way of using the NAICS code of your clients, and in doing so, find out what the industry standards are and how your clients' financials compare to those norms. I encourage you to find out more how you can be running these same reports for your business clients and determine what it is that they're actually doing in their business, not just from a comparative standpoint as to how they compare to their past months, say month over month, year over year, but literally how their financials compare to their industry norms and how their competitors are doing in their same market space. So find out more about what you can be doing to benchmark your clients and use BizBench as the software of choice. Now, with that being said, as a summary, there are a few things that Fred's really kind of tapped on that I'd like to make mention of, and it's essentially the idea of starting the business. I know that so many individuals kind of find themselves over a period of time gravitating towards starting their business. It begins with just helping some maybe neighbors or friends or family members. It's getting some clients on the side, doing some work. And at the time, it may not be that you're very competitive in your pricing or very engaged with your services, but eventually there comes that time where you take that leap and go into the entrepreneur space and become what I refer to as an accountrepreneur. And in doing so, you find a great deal of joy and satisfaction as you really go out there, service the business community. You make a difference in their needs and help them actually run their businesses more profitably. You educate them on what it is that you can be doing in their business and so forth. And Fred did a great job of helping us understand how that's achieved. I loved his stories. I thought what he was sharing was very what can we say, very common and something that we can all relate to. The other thing that I'd like to point out is he spoke of client relations, some of the things that the client may say to us or that we shouldn't say to them so that we can actually maintain those relationships. There is kind of a unspoken communication that goes on between an accounting professional and their business owner clients. we've got to be genuine and sincere in what we're asking to know about their business. We've got to be sensitive to their insecurities as to understanding the financial reports and their reluctance or embarrassment to ask questions. They've got to become comfortable and realize that the safe space that they have working with us is in fact meant to help them run their businesses more profitably. The last thing that I'd like to just point out is I think Fred just brought a genuineness to this whole discussion of who we are as accounting professionals. He is down to earth. He's obviously there to work with the clients, make a difference, and he's doing so effectively. And as a CPA, I think it's just wonderful to see that he's able to go out there and service the clients as he has, because that's exactly what we're all trying to do as we work with our business owner clients as well. So, Fred, what are some final thoughts that you actually have that you'd like to share?
So in closing, I just want to mention that one, I mean, you got off on the idea of when you start a business, it's okay that it doesn't seem to be easy. It's okay that it's a little hard and you have to learn as you go. And that's okay. It's the perseverance and the time of continually learning and growing that helps make the success in your business come. And it's and not to get caught up in the I need to outprice the other accountant type of mentality, because there's truly not a shortage of work that's out there for accountants. And there's tons of these small businesses that need accountants and bookkeepers and tax or consultants to help them so that they're profitable and so that they can succeed and grow. That's what's helped make this country amazing. Isn't necessarily all these huge businesses. It's the small ones and mid-sized ones that have helped grow and make this country successful. And so just remember in running the business that we care about the people. The people are a big, your clients are a big part of your success. You want them to succeed. You need to help them succeed, but with not thinking that I have to make them succeed. Your goal is to help provide them the information they need and let them make their own decisions. You can't save every business, but your goal is there to help them do their best and have their best chances.
I love it. Amen to that. The slippery slope that we want to avoid getting on is running their business. Our job is to provide them the information they need to make well-informed business decisions for themselves. They may ask questions and appreciate our advice, but at the end of the day, it's their decision, and they get to benefit or deal with the consequences of their choices. And so, I think you described that excellent, very, very well. Now, one of the things that I'd like to do is, one, Fred, thank you for your time. I thought what you shared today was very relevant to our listeners, and I think they'll appreciate hearing what you have to share, and encourage everyone to actually listen to our other episodes. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. This is, in fact, designed to help you become the premier accounting firm in your area, with each week offering new episodes with other experts to literally give you insights and suggestions on what it is you ought to be doing as you're building your successful accounting business. With that being said, I also want to encourage you to take advantage of the free resources that are found in the episode description. And lastly, for more information on how you can apply these principles in your business and become the premier accounting firm, reach out to us at Universal Accounting. You can go to universalaccountingschool.com, or you can give us a phone call at 801-265-3777. And always remember this, if it's about accounting, it is universal. Take care and have a great day.